Hey.
Hey there.
Hey, my name's
Becca.
Say that again.
We're talking over each other. Let's take turns, just this once.
Hey.
My name's
Becca.
Cassie.
Rosie. My name's Rosie.
Go.
Olivia.
Harriet.
Cassie.
Caitlin.
Amy.
This is a play.
Kind of. Also not a play.
Whatever we're calling it, doesn't matter.
What we might have started to call it.
This thing we've always done when we get together.
Whatever we've started to call together. And some of us watch and listen.
And some of us speak and listen. Whatever we're calling this right now, this is one of those.
It's meant to take place, wherever it takes place.
It's meant to take place here.
Which could mean you're wherever you are.
And everyone else is wherever they are.
Joining together our ears to make a single here.
Bolting them edge to edge on a screen.
Like self-assembly plastic storage boxes.
For human heads.
And if that's true, then let's tell you about our own worlds outside these boxes.
Or maybe even, just maybe.
We're all in the same big box.
All in the same air.
That I can look in your actual eye. Your actual human glistening, sticky to the touch, blink it to see human eye.
Imagine that, if that's not what we're doing, if we're still in the heads and boxes stage.
Imagine us all in that space, how it's going to feel when it finally happens, because it will happen. And if it has happened, if we're all together in a room.
Fairing guys and all the sounds, the small sounds of bodies that microphones don't notice.
Take a moment to think back to the time, that lost stage of months or weeks or even just days ago when we couldn't do this.
When our bodies were quiet, or at least made noises that we could hear.
When maybe the only clue to our actual existence, our real world existence,
Was when we froze or glitched or had to leave and return in the exact same place.
Weird, isn't it? How whatever you're doing now, how whatever way we're doing this now, can so quickly become the only way to do it. The only way we've ever done it.
I guarantee you, even though
some things might be different, the distance between us, if we're in a room.
The tension in the room that was never there before, or the lag of different broadband speeds.
The colour and closeness of the walls around us. They'll find it hard to imagine that we used to do this any other way.
Or that the way we're doing it right now will change.
Anyways.
This play, this poem.
What we're calling what's happening doesn't matter.
but it has a name apart from that.
And the name of it is? Hold out your hand.
But we're not so into that.
We're not stupid. We get
Someone thought it sounded hopeful.
about connection and contact.
But it's a bit thin, isn't it?
A bit on the bland side.
A bit full of the kind of
The empty optimism that's
just meant to get us through this. Like something you'd say to a child.
Crossing a road, or maybe.
Walking down unfamiliar streets to a funeral.
Or something feels kind, but is unfocused.
Almost as if it was a compromise.
The guy thought, I want to make something.
About getting through this, but just that.
Not about doing, but about being there.
About reassurance and how everything is going to be okay. How if we are just here for each other.
Everything is going to be okay.
So hold out your hand, he thought.
that'll do. Except it won't.
It could have been, and this is no disrespect.
Honestly, mate, we're saying these words, aren't we?
No disrespect, but
It could have been a better title.
what about the forgotten months?
Or head in a box.
Or
Never been so silent.
The year Zoom made millions.
The isolated streaks.
The lies we were told.
Quarantine quest.
Pandemic! The best year for fluffy companions.
Something that says clearly what's happened and the many shades of feeling from relief to joy.
To the deepest sorrow, to total fury, it's possible to feel about it.
And whoever wrote this, for example, I'm sure it's a man, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a man.
I'm sure he would agree there's no way he can get into our heads.
There's a lot he doesn't know.
And a lot he doesn't want to guess.
And a lot he thinks, but he knows is wrong.
And the rest of it he's making up.
You wouldn't know. How could he? That the lowest point of this year was, for me, was when we went into the first lockdown. Not knowing when I'd be able to hug my family and friends again. Not knowing when face-to-face contact would be a thing again.
And the highest point for me was finding a confident me in lockdown, finding out the amazing support system I had in family and friends.
I mean, how could he know that?
But anyway, here we are.
Probably when this is happening.
When we're saying this,
When you're hearing this, we're all still a bit spooked.
still a bit scared of touching each other.
Everyone feeling a little bit like we've been walking down a corridor.
That sound of cheap carpets and we're about to touch the door handle.
Most of us have learned to move through our own lives like ghosts.
as the world changed around us in ways it never has before.
Ways we had to find words to describe. It was like the door slamming shut behind you.
And realising you're not locked out, you're locked in.
No, that's not it. It was like a montage in a film.
Except instead of moving the story on, it just repeat the same few frames over and over.
No, that's not it either. It was like waiting for a bus, except the timetable was blank.
I think we should try this one ourselves.
It was like being trapped inside of a computer.
Like stuck in a box all day.
It was like you were trapped.
That's what it was like.
Maybe it still is.
So, anyone else been having really weird dreams?
Don't worry.
We're not going to tell you about our dreams. Except I did have this one dream.
We literally just said that this was not going to happen.
Just one. Come on, just one.
Fine, okay.
I dream about like this wizard that turns people into zombies in a caravan park.
No, that's not it.
I dream about walking downstairs to grab a knife and a fork and eat some chips and cheese.
That's not it either.
I dream about jumping up and down with jetpack books, reaching for the clouds in the skies.
Look, I know this guy's not good at titles, but maybe, just maybe, he can give us a shared dream to tell you.
Maybe we can trust him enough to give us one shared dream. It's worth a try.
So I had this dream where I was outside, but it wasn't my outside. As in, one if I would see if I went out the door. It was an outside that's different and certain very important events from anywhere I'd normally find myself. It was huge, for one thing. Not streets or houses, the sky not just a ribbon stretched out over the roads. Glimpsed through artificial horizons, made by buildings closing on either side. The landscape without buildings, wider than Mirrorland. More distance than the glimpse of a distant hill you get than sometimes. The ground was flat, not grass flat or rock flat or artificial car park flat, but the flat of an afternoon spent looking out of a window at a leafless winter tree, and the ground the colour of light fading on a wasted day, and the sky thrown over like an overwashed bedsheet, and the sun invisible, light just seeming to come from every direction. No shadows, no bright in me, not even in the middle of this, because there is no middle. If you can't see the edges, just there, like in my body. I was definitely in my body. I was absolutely definitely me, wearing my clothes, my height, my hair, my skin, standing on that empty ground, in a colourless dream version of my everyday shape. I stood there for a long time.
Is that it? Is that the dream?
No, I was just doing a long time.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I stood there for a long time and I thought, do you ever think in dreams? It's really difficult, but I thought, the world's gone. And then I thought about if that was true, and at that moment it felt true. Then really what's been lost? I didn't really feel grief. I didn't really feel happiness. There are many things I'd miss, but there are many things I was glad to lose. I guess it kind of balanced out into a state of mind that felt like the landscape looked. I was sad to lose being in some part of a city on my own, feeling unknown, feeling unknown. But I was glad to lose the eyes of strangers on me. I was glad to lose having to worry about how I was going to dress, the worry of what might be thought of me. But I was sad to lose a reason to get dressed at all. And I was sad to lose some kinds of touch. But I was glad to lose some other kinds of touch.
I was sad to lose those moments, like celebrating birthdays with friends.
I was glad to lose the pressure of having self-doubt when I'm out in public.
I was sad to lose all the small things, like going to a park or seeing your friends at school.
I was glad to lose the need to plan constantly.
Most of all, I think it was control.
I was sad to lose control. It was like the whole world was a mug that had just been dropped.
You know that moment when you've just made a drink and everything's right in your life?
And then for some reason, for some completely stupid reason, the mug's not in your hand.
And your fingers flash through empty air.
And for a frozen fraction of a second, the whole thing's laid out before you.
There's nothing you can do but watch as it's spinning progress to the floor.
Well, the way you'd feel in that moment, like a bystander at an accident.
Except the accident's your life. That's the way the dream felt.
Standing there in all that emptiness, except,
and this is important,
except this isn't real life.
In real life, the mug was dropped, somewhere unknown, on the other side of the world. Nature had made us a cup of tea, and we fumbled it.
We were standing in the universe's kitchen, watching everything that we'd carried fall tumbling to the tiles. Who knew the universe had a tiled floor, eh?
Caught in a frozen moment of not knowing, waiting to see if the rules we lived by, the structures we thought were solid.
So much we'd forgotten they were there, waiting to see if they would break or bounce. Out of our control, nothing we could say to stop the fall.
But in the dream, in this strange world, the fallen, the feeling of it, was not an action taken or not taken, was not an accident, was not the world happening without me.
I realised as I stood there that I had a choice. In the dream there was a feeling that I had no control.
But I was in control of the feeling of not being in control, which meant I could choose. I could choose not to feel it.
It was just me. No rules, no landscapes, no buildings, no rocks, no responsibilities or any work to do. Everything's waiting. Everything's suspended.
And only me there, meaning no matter what my life outside the dream was like, everything in it was my choice.
And I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to that at all.
And slowly, it crept up on me. Fearful, yeah, but it was thrilling. Nothing was going to happen.
Nothing was going to happen. Unless I made it happen.
And so I held out my hand.
All right, that's the title.
Makes sense, I guess, but I still don't like it.
I held out my hand.
And absolutely nothing happened.
I guess I thought once I realised that what happened was in my power, I figured it would come easy. So, like, hold out your hand and
Bam, there's a what?
Bam! There's a fountain.
a fountain.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just the first thing I thought of.
A fountain.
Okay, bam, there's a tree.
Bam, there's a dinosaur.
Bam, there's a chicken.
I think I thought like it just flow, like film magic and game magic. Like the power was in me and point and click, but it didn't. I really had to think about it. I'd start off simple, which seemed a bit unfair. After all, it was my dream after all. But apparently I didn't make the rules. I collected myself. I held out my hand.
I started simple and I thought, blue, it doesn't get more simple than that. Blue of the sky, I thought, and I closed my eyes and I opened them, and something had almost happened. There was still flatness, still nothing, but maybe, just maybe, a slightly bluer than nothing before.
Thing is, I could feel the power, like a spring inside me. Both kinds I mean, the water kind and the metal kind. Like it was winding up, but also gushing out.
The way to be in charge of both those things at once was to use them both. Think simple.
Think blue and let it flow out.
Also keep the tension, the direction by answering the question, what kind?
I thought, blue. But this time I thought, the blue of the sky, and not just any sky. All skies are blue.
When you've been up all night, maybe you've climbed up on a roof. You're the highest point of your surroundings. And the horizon you can see knows the sun's on its way. But not for a while. No clouds or anything. No lights on in any of the houses. And just at the end of the dark.
There's a blue that says morning's coming. That blue, I thought, that one, and I held out my hand.
And I stretched my fingers wide, closed my eyes, opened my eyes.
And the blue in my head was the whole world. And the world was still simple, featureless and flat, but that hopeful gentle blue of almost morning was laid across and within it.
This is all sounding a bit weird, I know. This is all sounding like some mystical experience, but it wasn't that. It wasn't.
A strange feeling of magic, of fantasy, of the extra dimensions and portals of alien worlds opening up. It was the strangeness of this world.
Even in this simple world, this simple landscape from inside me, being within my control, being mine to command. One decision that was mine.
And then?
Yeah, it was a dream.
Yeah, I know it was a dream.
What happened then?
I woke up.
Same room.
Same room in the same house.
Same house on the same street.
Same street in the same town.
Same town in the same country.
Same river flowing into the same sea.
Same carpet, same curtains that don't quite close.
Same splash on the back of same splash of paint on the back of the door.
Same clothes in the same pile.
Same sun at the same angle.
Lighting up the same spot on the same poster.
Same sounds from outside.
Same voices from inside.
Same voice inside me.
Same day repeating again and again.
Same planet crawling through the same solar system.
Same screen in my hand telling me.
The same half-fake information.
Same hysterical guesswork.
The same arguments over the same action.
Same opinions on the same subject.
The same stale food chewed over.
By the same tired mouth.
While the same stale power
Grasps in the same stale hands.
thrummed in the background.
Like the noise of a distant factory. Turns out the way the dream feels, it isn't a dream. And this is what I think we're here to say.
As far as I can tell.
That feeling being swept up.
An event you can't control.
As the weather patterns change.
And fell up.
The future you wanted
seems to melt under your hands.
Being swept up in all that, in your smallness.
But at the same time, being so very still.
It's not some imaginary landscape.
It's the way life feels right now.
In a year from now, I want to be able to see all my friends.
And a year from now, I want the freedom to be able to go back out again.
And a year from now, I want it to be back to normal.
And now, right now.
Not the day some guy's writing these words.
Late at night, in the corner of some far city.
But right now.
In this room.
Or through the screen.
That future world still feels untouchable.
We're not despairing.
Please don't think we're despairing.
We're just saying.
Parts of the life we want
still feel like dreams.
Still feel like you're lost in a landscape.
We're standing, wondering what happens next.
But we remember. We're still remembering.
The spring and the spring.
The power to hold tight and the power to let go.
How in the dream we knew the world didn't act on us. We could act on it.
That there's a focus we can find inside ourselves and then together.
Hold out your hand.
There's a power in it.
Hold out your hand.
I still don't like that title.
I know, but we've come this far.
And anyway, we've not just been handed this.
We can do what we like.
We can make it into something of our own.
Carry on our own terms.
Are you ready? Here goes.
Whether we're saying these words, or we breathe the same air, or we look at different screens.
Where we've come miles to be together, or miles apart and all together. If we can't say
what we want this world to be, then we're alone, trapped in our own dreams.
Hold out your hand.
This is how it starts. The trick of it is realizing you don't have to dream it.
Hold out your hand.
Let it break out of the landscape, through the edge of the monitor, through the distance between us. Touch doesn't have to be touched to still count as connection.
Hold out your hand.
We're still in the dream, still in that landscape, even when we're awake.
Feeling alone, lost in it.
No markers to guide us, no roads to guide us, no history to guide us.
But
Hold out your hand.
Feel the power in it.
remind yourself that this land, this uncharted land,
Is yours as much as anyone's. Put a marker in the ground.
It doesn't have to be nearby.
Somewhere you'd like to be.
A year from now, something you'd like to achieve.
10 years from now, some change you'd like to see.
Tomorrow doesn't matter. What's important, the important thing is, it starts with you.
The important thing is,
Even in these times of isolation,
even in these times of confusion,
Even in these times of repetition.
Even in these times of repetition.
there's togetherness and change.
And a choice to share it. So we're sharing this.
I'll keep all the new friends I made this year.
I'll leave behind having no perseverance.
I'll keep not taking the small things for granted.
I'll gladly leave behind coronavirus and everything that comes with it.
I'll keep all my friends I made in high school.
I'll leave behind being lazy.
I'll keep all my childhood obsessions, cartoons and old music.
I'll leave behind having to plan things out constantly.